Hello guys, and welcome back to our channel. Now, last night I posted a video where my fellow black brothers and sisters were reacting to Trump rolling back segregation. Apparently segregation is now legal. And in that video, my fellow black brothers and sisters were just reacting to that, and some were saying that if it's going to be legal, then it should be both ways. Tell black people where black people shouldn't go to, and black people are not going to go there. But it should also apply to palm color people. Palm color people shouldn't come to black spaces, shouldn't be found in black spaces. Now, in today's video, palm color people are the ones who are reacting to this. And in this video, I just want us to hear what they have to say. Really interesting things that we're going to hear. And for some comments, I'm not going to say that I am surprised to hear that from some of the palm color people in this video, but you know, like always, it's trying to keep the patriarchy. So I'm not even going to waste time. With that said, let's get into the video as different palm color people react to what this palm color lady is saying in her video. I will be right back, and when I get back, I will talk a little bit about these different comments and then share my 2 cents at the end of the video.
It's time to speak up. They're rolling back segregation. They are rolling back segregation. It is now no longer illegal to require separate facilities for people of different races. It is no longer illegal to say, here's the white water fountain and here's the colored water fountain. To be clear, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is still in place and has not been disbanded. But we know what their goal is. There is always step one in a process, and we absolutely know what their goal is. They are rolling back segregation. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Because this time, white people, we are the ones that are going to be on the front crossing that bridge. Do you hear me? We are the ones that are going to stand in the streets. Our black countrymen have done their time at the front of the lines, and it is our turn. It is our turn to face the water hoses and to face the dogs and to face the tear gas, because we have let this happen. Not on my watch. Not while there is breath in me will we go back. Is anybody out there with me? Go love your neighbor.
Really? Truly? Honestly? You know what? I hope my daughters could forgive me. Your hatred is showing. It is. You're showing. It is. It's just obvious. Wow. I mean, you're wearing it on your sleeves. You're just throwing it out there. There is no segregation. They're not trying to segregate this nation whatsoever. Everybody was fine with Donald J. Trump until he jumped ship and became a Republican. You guys were. You all were fine with Elon Musk until he decided to partner up with Donald J. Trump. And that is, it's hilarious. But yeah, your hatred and your showing. Have a wonderful day.
Man, there's so many different ways I could go with the video, but probably every single one of them is going to get me bananas. So, I'm just going to reply with, I'm sitting this one out. Send it out. First off, I don't believe anything this woman's saying in her video. Secondly, the last time that I tried to stand up with another group of people and fight for their cause, I got told to stay in my white ass lane. So guess what I'm doing? Staying in my white ass lane. The only segregation I will say that I am in support of is if all of the U.S. in its entirety is going to separate into separate countries away from Washington and California, or if we're going to separate or segregate liberals from basically everybody else, because we'd be doing us all a solid. Now that's a segregation I can get by.
Correct. The Civil Rights Bill of 1957 established the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department and the Civil Rights Commission to reinforce the 14th Amendment, which establishes equal protection under the law. Secondly, the Civil Rights Bill of 1960 established punishment for any civilian, federal, or state agent who prevents anyone from registering to vote in the United States of America, effectively ending Jim Crow, once again reinforcing the 14th Amendment of equal protection under the law. And thirdly, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 establishes that no state nor federal agent nor employee can discriminate against anyone based upon race, gender, age, height, creed, etc. when it comes to things such as employment, education, and use of public facilities such as bathrooms and water fountains. We haven't rolled back because the moment anyone will try, they will come into conflict with federal law. Those federal acts are still in place. So what you have seen and what you believe are wrong.
In some wild breaking news that I was not expecting on my 2025 bingo card, which to be honest, maybe I should have, segregation is now legal again in federal facilities. Yeah, I said that. I had to say that in 2025. The Trump administration has rescinded a very long-standing prohibition against segregated facilities. This now means that if a federal building feels like it, they could segregate waiting rooms, restaurants, and drinking fountains, and buses, and things like that. Now, the caveat to this is that the state level prohibitions do still exist, so you certainly won't see these pop up overnight. This is more of a symbolic move by the Trump administration, but it happened. It happened.
What's up, everybody? Major retired Richard Ojeda here, and Donald Trump has just removed a federal ban on contractors from having segregated restaurants, waiting rooms, and drinking fountains. Ladies and gentlemen, he's literally bringing segregation back. Where are all of these people in Washington, D.C., these Republicans? Where are they at? Where are you at, Richard Hudson? You've got people of color in your district. I think you need to answer for what we're seeing right now. This is unacceptable. Donald Trump is and anybody who stands by him and allows him to continue doing what he's doing is just as, this is unacceptable. We deserve so much better. Folks, let me tell you something. Vote.
If you're white, I need you to read this article headline real quick. The veil has been torn in two. Whiteness is on trial in this country, and we have been found guilty so many times, dude. So many times. Trump supporters, you have spent 9 years trying to convince yourself and everyone else that Trump is. You have fought your goddamn hardest to try to prove that Trump is not truly a symptom of, and it's over. You can't hide. So many of us have known it for almost a decade. We tried to say from the beginning, have been screaming it for almost a decade, that Trump is dangerous, and here we are. You can't hide. You cannot hide. Bringing back segregation practices or leaving it open for segregation practices. 3 out of 5 white men wanted this. 1 out of 2 white women wanted this. And it's so obvious, and it has been. You can't hide. We can't hide. This is a result of us as European Americans. This is a result of being the foundation of the country. This is a result of our violent white ancestors, and the universe has come to collect. So, is this going to make us as white people mad enough to do something? All this allyship, accomplice, whatever buzzword, is this going to be the tipping point? Or are we going to sit here and be like, oh my God, I can't believe this is crazy. I can't believe this is going to happen. So many of us said this for years, that this kind of was coming. Trump ran his campaign on his hatred for immigrant families, for anybody that isn't white. And again, now we're here. Is it going to be enough to do something? Or are we going to sit on our hands and be like, well, I don't know what to do? We have to organize. If you get about humanity, if you get own humanity, it's time to organize. It's been time to organize. We have the power to do something because we are the majority, but that would require the majority of white people to give out anyone outside of ourselves. And that's what is being put on full display right now. What's it going to take? What's it going to take? This vote for Trump was a group decision from white people. Doesn't matter if I didn't vote for Trump. Doesn't matter if you didn't vote for Trump. We're here because of us. And nobody can tell the difference. I'm going to say that every day. We are watching Trump trying to put segregation practices back into play. And you think any person that isn't white can look at me, at you, as us as a collective white people and be like, oh, that's a safe one. Oh, that's a safe one. No, because we aren't doing anything. We aren't mad enough to change anything. What else is it going to take?
Now that we've heard the different perspectives or views rather from these palm-colored people, you're about to hear some striking different perspectives ranging from those who believe that this is a deliberate attempt to provoke violence against black people to others who think the idea of segregation being reinstated is nothing but a baseless lie. Now, one comment that has really caught my attention was from a woman who claims that segregation isn't being brought back and that they're not going to separate races or restrict access to public facilities based on differences. But what's really striking is her assertion that this is all just a leftist conspiracy theory fueled by hatred for Trump. Like, really? Now, this begs the question, does she even genuinely understand what segregation entails? Like, guys, I just had to pause the video right there so that I just say this out because I couldn't believe it when I heard it. So with that said, let's listen to the other palm-colored people's views on this topic. I will be right back. And when I get back, I share my 2 cents on all of this.
Hey, friend, this is exactly right. This is exactly why I said it is we, the white people, who have to be at the front of the lines this time. It is we that have to go out and fight this battle. And you guys don't need to come into the street because we know this is calculated to get you out there. We know, just like when they said they were going to pardon the man that stood on Mr. Floyd, that was intentionally calculated to get you out because they want to unalive whole populations of people. And you and I both know you are very high on that list. I know you don't know me, and I know you have no reason to trust me. But I have children who look more like you than they look like me. So I have skin in the game. And last week, I was in D.C. with my biracial daughter and her very dark-skinned boyfriend. And when I went out and marched and argued with people and went to Congress and did all of the things that I could do there, I made them stay back. I made them stay back at the hotel because history shows that I will be treated differently than they will. And it's not that we all don't have a part to do in this. It's just that our roles are different and you've got to stay home because it's absolutely what they want is to get you into the streets. But that doesn't mean there aren't things you can do. You know, if you are a person of faith, then you know that this battle is not just flesh and blood, but powers and principalities, and there's a spiritual realm thing going on. Man, you can do some of the most important fighting from your home. And that is in the spiritual realm. That there are other things, you know, knowing that we know that you have to stay home and you know that we have to go out. This is how I hope our future will be different, because we now can show you there are some of us who are not like the rest. There are some of us who believe that a person should be judged on the content of their character and not the color of their skin. That great dream is a dream for me too, for my children and for yours. But please stay home. Please don't come out in the streets. This one's on us. And we got you.
This woman definitely got body snatched and is spreading hate for no reason. They are not bringing back segregation. They're not going to separate races and make other people use the bathroom if you're a different color. We're not going backwards. These leftists are hating Trump so bad that they're literally spreading lies about segregation. Are you kidding me? Did some of these people really get body snatched? The aliens are here, and a lot of people have been body snatched. You got me.
Now, segregation by definition is the act of separating people or things from the main group, often due to characteristics like race or religion. It's a system that has been used throughout history to discriminate against and oppress marginalized groups. Now, the landmark case of Plessy v. Ferguson in 1896 legalized segregation, establishing the separate but equal doctrine that was later overturned by Brown v. Board of Education in 1954. Now, as we have listened to these comments, I just want you to consider the context and the implications of what's being said. Like, are some of these individuals genuinely misinformed, or are they willfully ignoring the history and the ongoing impacts of segregation? Because I just don't understand. Now, in a legal sense, this includes separation due to such traits as race or religion. Insofar as American history is concerned, an example of segregation can be seen in the practice of separating Black and palm color Americans and treating each group differently due to their skin color. For instance, water fountains and bathrooms were specifically defined as Black and palm color as recently as the 1960s. I feel I just have to say this because of such people. I have to explain on what really segregation is. Segregation is the practice of keeping one or several individuals or things separate from one another or from a larger group, and this is usually done so that each group can be tracked or studied or be given special treatment of some kind. However, just because the treatment is labeled special does not mean that it is positive. In the US, segregation is most commonly used to refer to the act of separating groups of people based on their race. Thankfully, while segregation was legalized in 1896, it was not long 1954 until it was officially outlawed once again. But now, here we are again, back again to it. Now, racial segregation is the practice of restricting people's rights based on their race. People can be racially segregated in the schools and churches they attend and in the facilities they visit, such as parks, restaurants, and restrooms. Racial segregation has been used by the political majority in many areas of the world to maintain the economic advantages and higher standards of living that they enjoy as members of the superior race. Now, historically, while palm color populations have often been guilty of engaging in racial segregation, conquerors like the Asian Mongols and the American Aztecs have also participated in such practices. Racial segregation can be found in any part of the world where multiple races coexist. Save for places like Hawaii and Brazil, where multiracial people are the norm, places like these have been found to engage in social discrimination rather than flat out legalizing the practice of segregation. Now, let's take the case of Plessy v. Ferguson as an example. The details of the case of Plessy v. Ferguson concerned Homer Plessy, a man of mixed race who on June 7, 1892, took a seat in what was classified to be the palm color only railway car of the East Louisiana Railroad of New Orleans. Plessy specifically did this to challenge the state's law on separate train cars for blacks and palm color people, and the railroad had been given a heads up in advance that he fully intended on doing just that. Now, Plessy was asked to leave the car and sit in the blacks-only car. When he refused, he was arrested. At trial, which was necessary to legally challenge the law, Plessy's attorneys advanced the argument that segregated train accommodations violated Plessy's constitutional rights under the 20th and 14th Amendments to the Constitution. Now, the trial judge did not agree. He ruled that the state of Louisiana had the right to regulate the railroad as it ran within the state lines and sentenced Plessy to pay a fine of $25. Now, the case then went to the U.S. Supreme Court as it dealt with the state's ability to make laws that violated rights granted by the Constitution. The court ultimately decided that a Louisiana law did nothing to imply that blacks were inferior in any way, and the law separated blacks from palm color as a matter of public policy, thereby confirming segregation and the separate but equal doctrine under the law. Now, in 1954, history was changed forever when segregation in schools was outlawed as a result of what was happening at the public school level at that time. The case of Brown v. Board of Education combined 4 different cases: making it a class action lawsuit. Now, each of the cases involved was rooted in an act of segregation that had occurred at the public school level based on the race of the students attending. Specifically, each case concerned a black child who was denied admittance to a palm color school according to the separate but equal doctrine. Oliver L. Brown, one of the parents involved in the suit, was chosen to head up the lawsuit as a legal strategy so as to put a face to the cause, and Brown's daughter Linda was forced to walk 6 blocks to her bus stop in order to transport it to Monroe Elementary, her designated black school. Meanwhile, Sana Elementary, a designated palm color school, was located only 7 blocks from the Browns' home. Now, the trial court ruled against the plaintiffs, holding that the schools for blacks and palm color people were equal enough to satisfy the law. When the matter was taken before the U.S. Supreme Court, it effectively abolished segregation, ruling that black students had to be admitted to palm color public schools, and the ruling acknowledged that the segregation of these students was doing them an unnecessary harm. The court also ruled that segregation in schools did not in fact enforce equality, particularly because students were being blatantly discriminated against and were being provided the lower quality options due to the color of their skin. But I guess this is what they want to bring back again. Now, segregation in America has largely been based on race, and one of the more notable examples of segregation in America is found in the Jim Crow laws, which were in effect from 1876 to 1965. The Jim Crow laws segregated people of color by establishing separate housing, jobs, schools, public transportation, and even prisons for use by palm color or non-palm color individuals. Disturbingly, despite the fact that blacks had been granted American citizenship and the right to vote as a result of the abolition of slavery, the Jim Crow laws worked as a 1 step forward, 2 steps back sort of process. They made blacks into second-class citizens and essentially nullified their right to vote by implementing such exclusionary tactics as literacy tests and poll taxes to prevent blacks from being able to vote. Now, segregation in America was able to thrive at that point in history because a majority of politicians who were on the side of the black citizens before the Civil War withdrew their support after the war. They did this in an attempt to mend fences between the northern and southern states. Blacks tried to challenge the institutionalized racism that the Jim Crow laws fostered, but that was about the time that the landmark decision in Plessy was handed down, which effectively legalized segregation. What was left of the Jim Crow laws after Brown was decided in 1954 were overturned by the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The former outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, or national origin, and the latter reinstated black Americans' right to vote under the 15th Amendment. Now, getting back to what these different palm color people are saying in the videos, it's clear that some palm color individuals understand the gravity of the situation, recognizing that segregation is indeed a setup targeting black people. However, for those who naively believe this is merely a result of hatred towards Trump, completely missing the point, let's be clear. Segregation is a systemic issue deeply rooted in American history, perpetuating racial disparities and inequality. It's not about Trump. It's about the persistent struggle for racial justice and equality. If some people genuinely can't grasp this concept, one has to wonder if they are simply pretending not to understand. Because it's also possible that this is yet another attempt to provoke black people into taking to the streets, as we've seen various tactics employed recently. But here's the thing. Black people are aware of these strategies, and we won't be swayed. As my fellow black brothers and sisters keep on saying, who do you want to unalive? Do it if it pleases you. The message is very clear. Black people will no longer be intimidated or manipulated. It's time to acknowledge that the dynamics have shifted. Gone are the days when black people relied on palm color people for validation or support. Now it's about reciprocity. If palm color people want to create their own exclusive spaces, that's their prerogative. However, it's only fair that black people have the same autonomy to create and maintain our own spaces free from palm color intrusion and judgment. Now, we have finally come to the end of the video, but I want to hear from you, our viewers as well. What do you have to say about what these palm color people are talking about in the videos? Share your thoughts, your views in the comment section, and let's have a conversation there. Thank you for always watching, and see you in our next video as we bring you another interesting video.